general marched 50,000 soldiers to war on the oracle's word. He lost everything. The oracle was technically correct the entire time. Here's what happened. Croesus, king of Lydia around 560 BC, stood at a crossroads. Persia was expanding. War looked inevitable. He had resources, armies, political capital, but no certainty. So he did what every powerful decision-maker does when the stakes are too high to guess. He outsourced the call. He sent emissaries to Delphi, to the oracle of Apollo, the most trusted prophecy source in the Mediterranean world. The oracle's answer came back clean. If you cross the river Halys, you will destroy a great empire. Croesus read that as permission. He crossed. Within months, his own empire was destroyed. The oracle wasn't lying. A great empire did fall, just not the one Croesus expected to win. This is the pattern we need to understand. Delphi didn't traffic in false prophecies. It trafficked in ambiguity. And that ambiguity wasn't a bug. It was the entire architecture of the system. So why did thousands of ancient leaders, smart people, with advisors and military experience, keep consulting an oracle that gave answers so cryptic they could mean almost anything? What were they actually buying when they paid for prophecy? The answer isn't that they were stupid. It's that they understood something we've largely forgotten. Certainty is a luxury. Under pressure, with incomplete information and lives hanging on your decision, you don't get to wait for perfect clarity. You get to choose how you'll act anyway. The oracle's prophecies worked because they were vague. A vague prophecy forces you to make your own decision, then interpret the outcome through the lens of what you expected. You're not following orders, you're reading a mirror. And that matters because it means you own the choice. You can't blame Apollo when things go wrong. Take another case, the Athenians before the Battle of Salamis in 480 BC. The oracle told them to trust in wooden walls. That's it, wooden walls. The city was about to be invaded by the Persian navy. Some leaders thought it meant barricade the city. Others thought it meant build ships. The ambiguity forced a real debate, and they chose the ships. That choice saved Athens. The oracle didn't tell them what to do. The oracle created the conditions where they had to think for themselves. And they made the right call, not because the prophecy was clear, but because the ambiguity forced them to reason through their actual options. This is where the Stoics come in. The Stoic philosophers who came later, Epictetus, Marcus Aurelius, they built their entire ethics around this insight. You don't control outcomes. You control your judgment, your effort, and your response. Everything else is outside your sphere. The oracle's ambiguity teaches you something crucial. The prophecy isn't the point. Your decision is the point. You're going to act under uncertainty anyway. The only question is whether you'll own that decision or pretend someone else made it for you. Here's what separates people who handle pressure well from people who collapse under it. The ones who collapse are waiting for certainty. They're waiting for permission. They're waiting for the oracle to tell them exactly what to do so they can't be blamed if it fails. The people who execute, who move projects forward, who make calls under pressure, they've made peace with ambiguity. They gather what information they can. They think through the options. Then they choose, knowing full well they might be wrong. Epictetus, who lived as a slave in Rome, said something that sounds paradoxical. Some things are up to us, some things are not up to us. What's up to you? Your judgment, your effort, your character. What's not up to you? Everything else, outcomes, other people's opinions, the future. And once you truly accept that, you stop needing the oracle. Because the oracle's real gift wasn't prophecy, it was permission to act despite not knowing. The ambiguity was the feature. It meant you couldn't hide behind the oracle's authority. You had to think, you had to choose, you had to take responsibility. So when you're facing a big decision, a job change, a relationship call, a strategic pivot, and you're waiting for absolute clarity, you're waiting for something that doesn't exist. The data will always be incomplete. The future will always be uncertain. You will never have permission. What you can do is what Croesus should have done, question the prophecy, not because it was false, but because vague answers are always vague. Ask yourself, what am I assuming here? What could this mean differently? What am I responsible for, and what am I not? The Stoics understood that uncertainty isn't a problem to be solved. It's a condition to be accepted, and once you accept it, you're free. Free to think clearly, free to act decisively, free to own your choices, win or lose. The oracle's enigmas shaped ancient decisions not because they were prophetically accurate, but because they forced leaders to become authors of their own fate. That's the real lesson. You don't need a priestess at Delphi. You need to stop waiting for someone else's permission to act. Subscribe for weekly deep dives into Stoic philosophy and the decisions that shaped history, because understanding how ancients handled uncertainty is how you'll handle yours.